Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Maddie and I'm so excited that you are here. Today we are doing my June wrap-up video. This video is going to come out a little bit late. I've said this in past videos, but I have been so freaking busy with life. I'm just like, it's a lot. I am finally recording this video. It is like July 7th or something, so definitely a bit late, but I still wanted to get it out because I love recording these videos and I love watching these videos, and I hope that you'll agree. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. Oh my god. I read 10 books in June, so let's just jump in. Starting off strong, the first book I read in June is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. This is in the ACOTAR series. Y'all have heard me talk about this series several times, but I was thinking actually I wanted to do a video deep diving into the series and how I felt about it, but that's gonna be for another time, maybe later this month. I don't really know. It's kind of like in the works in my brain, but we'll see. I did get a comment from someone that said they wanted to hear me like talk about things with spoilers. I'm not gonna do that in this video, but definitely going to think about making a video about the ACOTAR series and how I felt, because I have a lot of hot takes, honestly. And yeah, so just to like be able to talk about spoilers and talk about the entire series and like deep dive. So we will definitely be doing that at some point in the near future, so please look out for that. But starting off, read A Court of Wings and Ruin this month. It was so good. If y'all watched my getting through my TBR video, then you saw that I was crying, I was laughing, I was like feeling all of the emotions about this book, and it just was like kind of a lot. If y'all know the series, you know this is where like the first arc of the series gets really crazy, and this is like the meat of that first arc of like what happens. There are a lot of just like crazy big things happening in this book, a lot of little twists and turns with like characters. I wouldn't necessarily say there was like betrayal, but there was kind of betrayal. Y'all, if you've read the series, you know. So this was just like jam-packed with a lot, so I was obsessed. I thought this was so good. I didn't like this one as much as the second one or the last one, the fifth one, A Court of Silver Flames, but I still just like loved it. I love books that make me feel all the feelings, and this made me feel all of the feelings just like so much. Anyways, I'm not gonna like say what this book's about because I don't want to spoil the series, but it's so freaking good. This is the meat of the first arc. This is where the first arc starts. I guess not starts, it's like starts in the first 3 books, but like the meat of it starts in this book and then ends in this book, and it's just like so much. But it's kind of a long book too, but I got through this one really quickly. So this one I gave a 5 out of 5 stars in real life, and then also on Goodreads. It was so freaking good. I love just like how the characters progressed in this. We had like little new romances popping up and like new characters and just big things happening, and like Farah in this book was just like such a baddie. She was such a boss woman, and I was obsessed with her. Also, her and Rhysand were just like so perfect together in this book and just so powerful together. And I mean, I like cried so much in this book. I laughed so much. So I just love books that make me feel the feelings. So this was just perfect. But yeah, so 5 out of 5 stars in this one, and then 5 out of 5 in real life. So yay! The second book I read in June is Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. This is the second book in the Dreamland Billionaire series. It is a trilogy and it's like standalone romance. They're all like billionaire tropes and just like a lot. So I loved the first book in the series, but I hated this one. This one was like not good for me. I was not a fan. I did not like Declan, our main male love interest, and it was just like not my favorite by any means, but I am gonna read the summary so y'all can kind of know what I'm talking about. Basically, our male main character and like main character in this book is Declan. He is destined to become the next CEO of his family's media empire. However, his grandfather left an inheritance clause that basically said that Declan had to marry a woman and have a happy family in order to get his grandfather's inheritance. He is so grumpy, has the worst outlook on life, and he does not want a wife and does not want a family. So this is kind of a challenge for him. However, his assistant volunteered for the job of taking over as his wife and helping him fulfill his grandfather's dying wish. They are in a fake marriage, and basically it just leads to something more, and she starts finding the good in him and seeing him as this good man and wants to like actually be married to him for real. I just loved Iris in this book. She is a super like awesome black woman, and she is incredible, and the way that Lauren Asher wrote just Iris in this book was so good. I feel like a lot of other authors can write women of color, just not great at all, and Iris really just was so perfect, and like it was not too overdone, and I was just like obsessed with her. So she was so sweet, but I hated Declan. I felt like he ruined the book for me. He was too grumpy and just, I felt like there was no hope for him, and he was just flat out rude to Iris, and I just like hated that because Iris was the sweetest woman and just was like so kind to him, and I just did not like that. So he ruined the book for me. Just not a fan. I also didn't like Lauren Asher's writing in this. I felt like it was just not nearly as good as her other books, and I felt like this was just so rushed, and I don't know, I just did not love this one at all. I thought it was rushed. I did not like the writing. I did not like Declan. Just had to delete some things off my camera. Sorry about that. But I just felt like they should not have ended up together in this book. It was just like, he was just too mean to Iris. I was like, girl, why are you falling in love with this man who does not treat you the way you should be treated? So this was just like annoying for me, and I don't know. Was not a fan. This one I gave a 2.5 out of 5 in real life, which is really disappointing, and then I gave it a 2 on Goodreads, I think. But yeah, this one just was not my favorite. I was wildly disappointed, and I love Lauren Asher, but this just like did not do it for me, so I hated Declan. Although this series is good. I do still recommend this series, but I just don't like this book, and I feel like a lot of people can agree with me. Anyways, moving on. The next book I read in June is Mistborn Secret History by Brandon Sanderson. This is a little novella after the Mistborn series by him, and if y'all know, you know I am obsessed with Mistborn. I love that series. I read it like at the beginning of this year, or like March, I think, and oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. This is like my new favorite series of all time. It is so freaking good, and I love Brandon Sanderson. His writing is phenomenal. He is amazing, so I was super excited about this. This is like a little novella after the books, kind of just like about one of the main characters, about just like the little things he was doing after this event happened that you'll will know if you read the series. I don't want to spoil it because that would not be good. Anyways, it is just like a little novella following one of the main characters after this whole series happened. So it is so good. I loved this one. I love a good novella. Some novellas I feel like are kind of pointless, but this one I just loved. I felt like I wanted more of the character that is in this one, and I just loved reading more about him and just kind of what he was doing after the series ended. So this was freaking phenomenal. I also felt like we learned so much more about the universe that the Mistborn series takes place in. It is a fantasy series with like its own entire world and like laws and like physics, so it was cool to learn more about how that world came to be in this book. I felt like we got little hints of like the universe and like how everything works, and I just was obsessed with it. I was eating it up. It was so good. However, I did only give this one, let me look actually. I gave this one 4 stars because I felt like there was a couple little moments and like little things that I felt like I didn't need to know, and it wasn't completely necessary to the series, but I still was like eating this up. I felt like you have to read this after the series because there are little things that you learn that like complete the series and give it like that full circle moment. But I don't know, for me it just didn't hit the way I wanted it to hit, even though I did still eat it up. Does that make sense? Like, it didn't give me that 5-star feeling, but I did still eat it up. So I don't know. I was obsessed with this one. I feel like I'm just contradicting myself, but I don't know. I feel like when I know it's a 5-star, I know, and I just like feel it in my bones what rating I should give it. And this one, I just like felt like I should give it a 4. And maybe that's being unfair and I should have given it 4.5 or something, but I don't know. I gave it a 4. So I am sticking with that rating, and that's what I'm giving it. But I still feel like if you read the Mistborn series, then you have to read this after, because it is like it gives you good knowledge that you need to know about this universe that Brandon Sanderson has created. And if you know Brandon Sanderson, then you know that the universe that this series takes place in is called the Cosmere, and all of his books take place in that universe. So it's very important to know about the universe if you are a fan of him or if you're going to read more of his books. So I just felt like I needed to learn the things in this, but it wasn't like I wasn't like obsessed and like, just don't worry about it. I gave this one 4 stars. I love it. I gave it 4 stars in real life and then 4 stars on Goodreads. It was really good. If you read the series, please read this. You have to. So that's really all I have to say about this one. This one I was definitely like conflicted on, if you can't tell. Let's move on. The next book I read in June is whoa. That was crazy. The next book I read in June is Final Offer by Lauren Asher. This is the 3rd book in the series, the Dreamland Billionaire series that I was talking about with Terms and Conditions. This is the 3rd and final book called Final Offer, which I thought was really cute because it's the final book in the series. But anyways, this one I loved a lot more than Terms and Conditions. I thought this one was so much better. I loved her writing so much more in this book. It was just like eons better, but I'm still not, I think I've decided I'm not like obsessed with Lauren Asher in general. general, like she's not my author, and I feel like there's so many better authors, and since discovering like Lynn Painter, I am like way more obsessed with her, and just Lauren Escher is like not really doing it for me anymore. But I did like this one, and that is not to say like I was like hating on this one. I thought this one was great. So yeah, anyways, this is about Callahan and his romance with Alana. Callahan is the Kane brother who is just like kind of a washed up brat. He is an athlete, but he's also like a drunk, and he is just not this great guy. There's been a lot of unfortunate things have happened in his past, and he has resorted to alcohol, and he is just like a kind of a raging alcoholic basically. But 6 years ago, he broke the love of his life's heart, Lana Castillo. She was like his person, and he broke her heart, and a lot of it had to do with his addiction. He promised to never return to Lake Wisteria, which was like his hometown. However, he kept his word until his grandfather's inheritance clause changed everything. He was tasked with spending the summer at his family's lake house before selling it. However, Lana claims to own it, and she will not let him sell it. If you haven't caught on, all of these books revolve around the three brothers and then their grandfather's inheritance clause, and them having to fill it in order to win their part of his inheritance. I have to say my favorite brother was in this book, Callahan. I love him so much. Yes, he is an alcoholic, but I was rooting for him so bad. Like I just wanted him to get the girl, and he did, and I'm just like, I loved their relationship. I loved the way they interacted with each other. I love how sarcastic Cal is, and just like how flirty he is with Lana, and he just like wants her to know that he wants her, and I just found that really admirable. He also did a lot for her and really wanted to change in this book, and I just like really, like I loved that. I thought he was so sweet. So this one I just loved so much. I also felt like her writing in this one was so much better, and I felt like she really put a lot more effort into this book rather than Terms and Conditions, which I felt like she just rushed. But I just loved this one. I ate it up. I ate up their relationship. Lana also had a daughter, and her daughter was so sweet. I think her name was Cammie, but I was obsessed with her and Cal's relationship, and I just felt like it was so sweet. So Cal was really giving like dad moments in this entire book, and I just ate that up. So I loved this one. Final offer, I gave a 4 out of 5 in real life, and then a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. The reason I gave it a 4 and not like a 5 or 4.5 is because I just like kind of realized I don't like Lauren Escher as much as I thought I did, and that just kind of like ruined that vibe for me, but I still just love the book. I thought it was so sweet. So, and I love their relationship. So yeah. The next book I read in June is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This book really helped me realize just how much I love Lynn Painter. I love her writing. I loved how just like easy to get through her books are. Like I read this in one day, and I literally could not get up from my couch. I just read it in one sitting, and I just fell in love with Lynn Painter. I fell in love with the way she writes her characters, the way that she writes her romances. I love a good YA romance, and I was really in the mood for a good YA romance, and this just like did it for me. I don't know how I've never read this book before because it is like so popular, but I'm so glad that I did, and I just was like, oh, it was so good. This book follows Liz. She's kind of a perfectionist, a little bit stuck up, but her next door neighbor, Wes Bennett, is the complete opposite. He is a pain in her butt. He has never been boyfriend material. He's always been annoying. They fight over the parking spot outside of their house, and she is just like not a fan of him. However, she decides she needs her help because her childhood big time crush Michael has moved back to town, and Wes and Michael just happen to be good friends. Liz wants Michael to notice her so bad and finally be her prom date, so she recruits Wes to help her out. However, as they scheme together, Liz starts to develop some feelings for Wes, and she doesn't really know how she wants her happily ever after to end. Y'all, this book was the most wholesome romance I have read in forever. I love a good YA, like I said. It was so good. Wes is like the ultimate book boyfriend for me now. Like I'm obsessed with him. He is so freaking cute, and the way that he teases her and interacts with her was so cute, and like his flirting was so freaking cute. I just love him. And Liz, I felt like she was kind of annoying at the beginning, but like I loved her, and I loved following along on her story and getting to know her and her through grief and just like things like that. I felt like I related to her and her trauma and her trouble and just like her grief that she was going through, and that just like hit me at home. That was like pulling on my heartstrings big time. So I also don't know how I've never read a Lynn Painter book, but I love the way she writes her romances. I love her writing. I love the way that she creates her characters and just how heartwarming they are, and just how much I can relate to them was so so cool and so sweet. This just like pulled at my freaking heart. Like I said, it was just so good. So better than the movies, I gave 4.5 out of 5 in real life, and then I think a 4 on Goodreads. I'm not quite sure, but I just didn't feel like it was a 5-star for me, but it was definitely way up there and like one of my most favorite books that I've read this month. So super happy about that one. The next book I have to talk about is A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 4th book in her ACOTAR series so far. It is like a novella, but you absolutely have to read it in the series. You have to read it to know what is going on in the next book, and it does reveal some kind of important things. So it's a novella, but like it's a part of the series, and we've all kind of agreed that it is like the 4th book in the series. So this one I thought was so fun. I felt like after all of the action in the first arc of the series, after A Court of Wings and Ruin, I felt like I needed some more scenes of them just being friends, our main characters in the series just like getting along and just having a good time and just being like people and just existing. I also felt like Farah kind of grew more as a character and found ways to deal with her grief in this book, and I just thought that was so incredible, and I really was rooting for her this entire time. So I'm so happy that she's finally happy and that she can find sort of like outlets to deal with her grief in this one and for the rest of the series. So I really just wanted to see her get better after all of the first 3 books, and this book just like did that for me. I felt like I needed a little bit of a break from all the crazy action. I gave A Court of Frost and Starlight 4.25 out of 5. I was obsessed with it, but because there wasn't much that happened in this, even though there were some important things that went on, I just felt like I couldn't give it like a 4.5 or a 5 because the other books were just like so much crazier. And it's hard to compare this one to the rest of the series because the rest of the series is so just like wild, and there's so much that happens, and they're so good. And as much as this one is so great to read and so well done as well, it's just not as like crazy, so it's hard to rate it comparing it to the other ones, if that makes sense. But I still just like, I love this one. This one like pulled at my heartstrings. I love the main characters, and I love like their little friend group, and I loved watching them like interact in this one, and it did make me a little bit sad. There were a couple little things that happened that made me just like a little bit teary-eyed, and I love books that do that to me, so this was great. Definitely not a 5-star just because the rest of the series is so much crazier, but I do just love Sarah J. Maas's writing, and she can write some adventure like so well, but she can also write just like day-to-day life so well, so this one was so good. I don't know, I loved it, so yeah. Oh, and I rated that one a 4 on Goodreads, so sweet. I just love this series so much. Like, it makes me so happy. The characters just make me so freaking happy, and I'm just like obsessed. So moving on, the next book I read in June is the last book in the ACOTAR series, and that is A Court of Silver Flames. Y'all, when I say this book like altered my brain chemistry, I freaking mean it. Oh my gosh. This book was like unreal. Definitely by far my favorite book in the series. I also love how thick she is. She had so much to read, and oh my gosh, I got through this so quick, probably in like 3 days, and I feel like most of the other ACOTAR books for me took a long time for me to get through. I felt like I wanted to read them, but it was hard for me to come back to them so much. In this book, I just could not put down, like, I was reading like one day I read like 320 pages of it, and I feel like that's a lot. So if y'all can't tell, I am freaking obsessed with this. The 2 main characters in this book were just so good. If y'all don't know, the ACOTAR series starts in Farah's point of view, and then it kind of starts going into like 3rd person / like other characters' points of views. And this book was in 2 of my most favorite characters' point of views, and oh my gosh, I just freaking ate it up. I got through this so quick. Like I said, it was so good. So this one was also, I felt like, more spicy than some of the other ones. I felt like the spicy scenes in this book were like kind of intense, but also so good and plot relevant, so you definitely had to read them. And I just loved the amount of like growth we saw in this book from some of our characters, and the amount of just like healing through grief we saw, and just stuff like that I felt like I related to. So this one definitely like touched my heart, and really it just made me feel so many feelings, and I just could not put it down, like I said. And I am still thinking about this book. Like, this book was so beyond good, and just like the perfect book for me. It felt like it had everything that I wanted as a reader, so it was so good, y'all. It was so good. And just like character growth is so important to me, and I love just like reading about our characters go through hard things and then grow after and just become new people after, and it just really touched my heart. So I love watching them grow together, and there was also romance in this, and it was just the perfect amount of romance, growth, and plot, and just politics. So, and this book starts a new arc in the series, like a new plot line, so I'm excited to read more about this when she comes out with her next one. So I'm really sad that this series is over for now, until she comes out with another book, so I'm just eating it up, and it's like one of my most favorite series for sure. So super good. Also, I almost forgot to mention I gave gave this one 6 stars out of 5. This is like one of my most favorite reads of the year so far for sure. So I am freaking obsessed. It was a 5 stars on Goodreads because I can't give it a 6 on Goodreads obviously, but it is a 6 stars in real life for me. I am obsessed. The next book I read in June is Love Theoretically. If y'all watched my Reading Book Talk Romances video, then you saw that I read 3 books. These are also going to be included in this video. So if you haven't watched that video, then I'm going to be talking about the same books. But I read Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. This is another one of her STEM romances. And if you've been watching my videos, then you know that I'm a STEM girly. I love a good STEM romance. It just like hits at home for me. This one I was really excited for, but I was disappointed and I was not as obsessed with this one as I wanted to be. I also felt like after reading this one, I didn't like Ali Hazelwood as much as I thought I did. I just like don't think I like her writing style, but and just all of her little references that she like crams in her books just like takes me out of the book, if that makes sense. So this one was not my favorite by any means, and I was definitely quite disappointed. But this one follows Elsie Hanaway. She is a theoretical physicist by day and then a fake girlfriend by night. One day she goes to Greg's house. Greg is her favorite client, but she meets his older brother and he is not a fan of her. He definitely is onto her. However, she then finds out that he is the same man that ruined her mentor's career. She is not a fan of him now. She is pissed. She is angry. She is like, why did you do this to my mentor? And it sparks a little romance between them. He also rules over the physics department at MIT, standing between her and her dream job. So there's a lot going on in this book. I had such high hopes, like I said earlier, but it was just like way disappointing for me. I felt like she just crammed so many references in this book that made it really hard to read, and I felt like she just was like forcing this book to be quirky and like fun, and I just like, it did the opposite for me, and honestly it just got really annoying and I just wanted to finish it so bad, and I did not want to come back to this book. Honestly, now since reading these 3 books for that video, I'm kind of in a slump, so I think this one did that for me, so which is kind of really sad. You know a book is not your favorite when it puts you into a slump. This one I just didn't love, so I would not recommend this one personally, but I know a lot of people have read it and they really enjoyed it. So this one I gave a 3.5 on Goodreads and a 3.5 in real life. I wanted to give it like a 2.5 or like a 3, but I don't know. I just like, I liked Elsie so much. I just thought she was such a fun character, so that's what gave it like the 3.5 stars for me. But Jack Smith, I thought he was just like annoying and rude, and I felt like their spicy scenes in this book were really awkward. If you watched my Reading That Book Talk Romances video, then you saw me talk about that, but the spicy scenes were just like really awkward and weird and hard to get through, and I was like skipping through pages because I was like, this is so hard to read. But they're also plot relevant, so I felt like you kind of had to read them. I don't know, so this was just like, it did not do it for me. And I thought I would like it so much because I did love the love hypothesis, but I just don't think I like Ali Hazelwood all that much, so that's okay. The second to last book that I read in June is The 7-Year Slip. I also read this one in my Reading TikTok Romances video. This one is by Ashley Poston, and I love her now. I love like a good contemporary romance, and I felt like this is what that was. This is not like a spicy romance or like a true romance. It's definitely like more like a contemporary sort of vibe, but it was so freaking good and it was so cute. So this book follows Clementine West. She's been through a lot in her past. She's lost her aunt and she has just been through a rough time with romances and relationships, and her goal is to just keep her heart safe and stay away from guys and kind of just focus on her work. However, one day she comes home and she is in her apartment, and suddenly there's this other man in her apartment. His name is Owan, and he is claiming that her aunt allowed him to stay at her apartment for a little while. So it's kind of like a close proximity sort of thing, but plot twist, he exists 7 years in the past, and Clementine figures out that her apartment is actually magical. So super good. I have never really read like a time jump or like a time slip romance, and this one was really interesting to read about. I didn't really know how it was gonna like come together in the end. How does that resolve? But it did, and it was so good, and I loved Ewan in this book. That's his name, and that's like his nickname, but he was so sweet. He had like the southern drawl. He had these like beautiful blue eyes, and he was such a sweet man and was just like obsessed with her and like wanted her to know that. And I love a good man that knows what he wants, and I just like loved their relationship with this. He's also a chef, and he definitely found his way into her heart through food, and I thought that was really sweet to see. But yeah, and like their little nicknames for each other and like their banter and flirting is so sweet, and Clementine just so wants to be just like a woman without a relationship. She is like so obsessed with him and is so drawn to him, and I just thought that was so sweet and so cute. So this one was definitely so interesting, and I really felt like I related to Clementine's grief with her aunt and like getting through that grief and kind of just letting go of the past and the memories, and I felt like this book followed her and her life and her grief a lot more than it did like a romance. So this one was good, but I wanted more romance, if that makes sense. Okay, anyways, my legs just fell asleep. That was so painful, but I gave the 7-Year Slip a 4.5, or no, sorry, a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, and then a 4 out of 5 in real life. It was definitely not a 5-star, and I definitely wanted more romance, so that's why I gave it a 4. But I do really like Ashley Poston, and I really liked the writing style, so I will definitely be reading more of her books. The last book I read in June is The Do-Over, also by Lynn Painter. Reading better than the movies definitely made me want to read another one of her books, so I picked this one up at Target and read it for my Reading Book Talk Romances video again. So this one was like a lot shorter than Better Than the Movies, and it was so like short and sweet and like quick, and I loved that about it. I felt like I needed a really short and like cutesy romance, so this one definitely did that for me. But I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was so cute and so fun. This one follows Emily Hornby. She has a disaster of a Valentine's Day. She watches her boyfriend cheat on her with another girl, his ex actually, and yeah, she just has like a horrible day, and after that she goes to her grandmother's house for some girl talk and some relaxation, and then she wakes up and Valentine's Day is repeating itself over and over again, and in addition to that, she cannot get away from the enigmatic Nick Stark. He's super sarcastic and really sweet, and her chem lab partner, so she keeps running into him in unfortunate ways, and that sparks a little romance between them. I loved him. He was so freaking sweet and like so cute, and I just was like in love with their relationship. I love how flirty he was and how sarcastic. It really just reminded me of my boyfriend, so that was like so great. But yeah, I loved their relationship, and I really didn't think this one was repetitive, even though that's the entire point of the plot. I didn't really find it repetitive, and I felt like it was like really easy to get through and really fun to read, so this one was so cute. Yeah, and I just loved Emily. I felt like I really related to her in the stage of life that I was in, that she is in now, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like my past self was really similar to her, and I just really enjoyed her and watching her go through some hard life things and just like get through it and be strong and independent and awesome. And they really related to each other, which I thought was really special. So this one I gave 4 out of 5. Same as the 7-Year Slip. I just didn't really feel like it was a 5-star because of how basic it was and because it was just like a fun little romance. Like, that's not something that I'm gonna give 5 stars personally. I like more complicated books, so this one was just like a 4 out of 5 for me. So, but I also gave it a 4 on Goodreads, and yeah. So those are all the books I read in June. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I love a good wrap-up video, and I know that a lot of you do too, so I hope you enjoyed this. But I really just had such a good reading month. There were a couple books in there that I was kind of like, what the heck, and really expecting so much better from, but that's okay, that happens, so I'm not really disappointed. I definitely want to do a book tag since it's like the middle of the year, and just kind of like a mid-year book tag sort of video. I love watching those, so that's definitely going to be coming up very soon. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Oh my god, my legs are asleep.